Welcome to the land of Freudian slips, where we mythicize, hypothesize, criticize. I was trying to channel my inner, that guy that does every Animal Planet. I don't think he's on Animal Planet, but the guy that does all the nature stuff. The fool, you know that guy?
No. It's like if it's not Morgan Freeman or if it's not that other guy that talks about space
No,
all the time.
everyone knows this guy. He's anything with animals. He has the most calming, beautiful voice. And he's always like, the parakeets dance for each other to attract the
I can
next
hear I
mate.
can hear it.
Thank you. Whoa. For those in the MHF, what's that?
Mental health field.
Jesus Christ. Okay, well, you didn't put that anywhere in an asterisk for me to know. The fuck, how was I supposed to know that? In my head, I was like, the MHF. I mean, but like, you just throw it in there randomly. What if I just combine 3 words and I'll just like make an acronym? Is that an acronym or when you shorten it? Welcome back, everyone. Freudian slips. The thinks, the shrinks, the kadinks. I don't actually. Wait, let me go to the. Okay. So I have no excuse. I'm fucking up today. Okay, you're doing great. I'm not on drugs, and we're fine.
We'll do it live. It's okay.
Freudian slips. Okay. Yeah.
Awesome. Hi, Ollie.
Hey, Danny.
And welcome, everybody. This is Freudian Slips. This is a place where we get to talk about the shrinks, kinks, and thinks of the mental health field. And today, we're going to be talking about the pros and cons of virtual versus in-person sessions.
For those in the mental health field, we hope that this episode gives you all some helpful things to think about when deciding how to run your practice.
And for everyone else, we hope that this episode can help you figure out what style of therapy might be best for you. And so you are a completely virtual therapist.
Yes, I am.
Really quick, what made you decide to kind of go that route?
I think we talked about this in one of our earlier episodes, but it was not an active choice. It was when we started getting our hours, I needed to find a therapist who was licensed as a school psychologist and a marriage and family therapist to be my supervisor so I could double dip hours while I was in school. And after I reached out to like 27 or something crazy, and I like took a list of like every single person in the area, I found one woman who was both, and she lived an hour away. And so I would drive an hour sometimes to see like one client and then drive back in like Bay Area traffic. So it was a lot. And then when COVID hit and you were able to get hours online, I was able to work for a company where I saw people virtually, and then they like provided a supervisor through that company. And so at first I was like, I am just doing this out of necessity. I need to get my hours. This cannot, like, I don't have enough money to pay for the gas I need to get to the office that is an hour away. So, like, I just need to get these hours as fast as I can. And if I decide I like in-person therapy, I will go back to that when I'm licensed. And that's what I thought I was going to do. I like live in a cute little area where some people like, there's like converted homes that are also like therapy offices or like, you know, like shared office spaces that I always thought would be cool. So I never imagined myself as a virtual therapist. But then as we'll go into the pros and cons, it just kind of stayed that way.
Yeah, and you are able to do it within the comfort of your home.
Yes. Oh, yes. Within the comfort of my home. That is one of the pros. That's definitely one of the things. And also I realized a lot of my clients were not in my area because I got to know so many of them. When I was doing online therapy, I had so many that actually lived in like Southern California or like really like much higher up in Northern California that I was like, even if I opened an office here, I'd have to build almost like an entirely new practice or still just do online therapy from there for a while until I get people to actually come in.
For sure.
So it just like kind of worked out where it's like, well, I wear slippers every day. I am in my own home. I can like rush to the bathroom if I have bowel problems. Like there's a lot of pros that come with this for me.
Yeah, that really is nice. Those days that I do work from home, I feel it. It's really cool. Most people will know that I am a hybrid. So I do have an office. We are in the office today. I don't think I've been in this office when we're recording in a while. So this is my office in Southern California. I love it. I love having an office. I think it's one of the coolest things in the world. I came in this week And if you were to come into our building, obviously it's a big office building. There's a bunch of different businesses going on here. But we have our like room number. So our suite number is 110, right? And so you just come in, you see 110, you open the door. That's how it's been since we came into these offices for about like a couple months now.
Hmm.
I came in on Monday and I wasn't expecting this. Our name is on the office door now.
Oh, see, it's like little things like that.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh, like I pictured like designing
Yeah.
like a cute little office space or like just getting ready in the morning and being like, oh, gotta go to work, be a therapist, go into my office and sit on my couch. It's like I just thought there were pieces of it. And to this day, I'm like, if I ever can just do this fully out of leisure, I think I would 100% have an office space and go in like a day a week or
Yeah.
something and just be like, oh, work so hard, better gotta go in. And I think I would.
Yeah, so I came in and to me that just kind of like I wasn't expecting it to have like my business name on the door, and so it is kind of like you see that and you're like, all right, let's go. It does kind of fuel me when you're here. It is for me anyways. It's kind of like the the gym or like the court. It's the place where everything's gonna happen. I meant like a sports court, not like law
No, but
court.
it was just funny because I know you go to the gym, so I got that. But then when you're like the court, I was like, you don't do anything on a court. Why would you pick a court?
I'm trying to make this up as I go, man. Work with me. So I think that there's a lot of amazing reasons to come in person, but also being hybrid, I do have a lot of clients that are virtual, and so I'm right there with you. And so we wanted to kind of go over, what we like, what we don't like, to kind of give some insight to everyone else. Let's start with virtual, and then the way I kind of have this broken down is we're going to hit virtual first, and then we're going to talk about what it's like to be in person. Within both, we're going to split it even more, and we're going to talk about the pros and cons on the therapist side, and then the pros and cons for the client. So everyone
Ooh,
hopefully kind of gets a little bit of what they need from it.
that's fun. I like
Yeah.
that you did that. Okay. Ooh, I love it. All
Yes.
right. Well, then, Danny, give me like a handful of your pros for the virtual side of the
Right.
work.
So why might you want to be a virtual therapist? Is one of the things, like you mentioned, was travel time, right? Being able to get up in the morning and within 10 minutes roll out of bed, brush your teeth, and just get in front of a screen to do work, like, especially if you are a morning person,
Mm-hmm.
that's kind of freaking cool.
Mm-hmm.
That's I think is one of the biggest pros is just you are at work. And so if you need a little extra time getting ready, you can never really be late
Unless you're
because
like late for a session, you can be late.
unless you're like really really late, but it's like, oh my God, like I need to eat. It's like you can do all of that while you're setting everything up. And I think that's just like super cool. From the business side, I think this is also important is overhead costs. Right? I love my office, but it ain't free. And imagine if you were coming in only one day a week, like your, ideal situation, you still have to pay for that. And with that comes like its own, unique challenges. But I would imagine not having to pay for an office, knowing how much I pay for mine, that's a nice little chunk of change that isn't leaving my pocket.
Yeah.
So that's a pro. Another one that I have is it could actually be a lot less frustrating when you get cancellations.
Mm-hmm.
So we all go through them. Even though we have our policies, life sometimes happens, and minutes before the session, clients can be like, oh, ain't gonna come. One of the most frustrating things for me is coming to work because I have one client, and then once I get here,
Mm-hmm.
then I get that message that says, oh, hey, not going to make it. So when I'm virtual on the days that I'm just at home and a client is like, hey, you're not going to make it. Okay, sweet. At least it doesn't like disrupt my whole day because odds are I was just washing dishes before. And so now I could just keep doing chores. I can just go on to the next thing.
Yeah.
That's really nice. Potentially more agency with life management, and so that kind of goes hand in hand with that. So in between sessions when I am working from home is I get to throw in a load of laundry, I get to make my bed, I might kind of sweep the floors and want to hang out with my family. And I think that is when you think about like that kind of lifestyle, I think that is what is the most attractive about being a virtual anything. Being able to, like, imagine if you had a pool, or for you, like, you like gardening. You love hanging out with your pugs. And in between session, especially if it was a heavy session, you could just go out and just get you some, like, good sun and just get you some love from the dogs and then kind of go back. I think that's really cool. The last thing that I have as a pro for a therapist is something that you also mentioned, is that you actually are more accessible to more clients. So having an office, obviously clients are more than welcome to travel to me, but it's a lot easier to get clients from all over the states in which you practice when you are virtual. If they have access to a computer, if they have access to a phone, if they have access to the internet, they have access to you. And so I think that's really cool. Those are my pros. Do you have any that you want to add, or
Ooh.
any comments?
Yes, I do. Yes, I do. So, okay, in terms of the cancellation, like the frustration, I totally feel that. And so I think in general, way less like, oh, like this derailed my whole day or like this or that. And I think this is like kind of controversial because I would even say that I have more cancellation flexibility, which I think some people would be like, absolutely not. You have these cancellation policies, 100% stick to them. And I agree. I am not saying every time someone cancels within that window, I'm like, sorry, or I mean, every time I'm not just like giving them the benefit of the doubt and being like, it's okay, we can reschedule this time. But like, I do think because I work from home and it's like, if it's a time that like, oh, I had a free hour before this and after, and now it just elongates it, like no one really needed that time. I'm okay being flexible with it. And if it's not like a repeat offender, it's like a reason that makes sense, I'm totally okay with giving people a freebie when I can. If it's like, hey, I like did structure my day differently, or if I knew that I told my husband we'd have dinner at a different time because I thought I was going to see someone, I'm probably going to charge you if it's within the 24-hour window. Or
Yeah.
if it's like, like someone else asked if they could see me that time today, and like, I told them I didn't have it. Like, I will probably charge. But I personally, it makes me feel better having more flexibility around cancellations, which again, not everyone will agree with, but like, I think I just know what I would appreciate as a client too. And when it really doesn't impact me at all, and I'm already at home, not only is it less stressful if someone does cancel or can't make it, even if I do have to charge, it's just like, oh, okay, like it's probably not a super big hindrance on my day or well-being, or like, oh, like I rushed to get here, and like, so it's like I don't have to deal with any of that. And there are times where I'm like, hey, honestly, like if you can meet later tonight instead, or like tomorrow, like we can just reschedule, like no big deal, I won't charge you. So I like that about it, because I think just for myself morally, that's how I operate. I also think I am a morning girly. And so I see some people at 7 a.m. and with couples, sometimes I see people as late as 9 p.m. And so I don't think I would do that if I had to go into an office.
That's true.
Maybe 7 a.m. But like, I don't think I'd want to stay at an office until 9. Or it's like, especially if I had hours off before that, I'd be like, And then I don't know if I'd want to like come home and get resettled and then hop back on the computer. Like, I think
Yeah.
because I can be so chill, or like getting ready for work, and work is all here, I'm okay seeing some people really early if I'm a morning person, or seeing some couples really late if I need. But I think if I had to do the transition between the two, I'd be like, no, my workday's already done, or like that's there. I'm home now. And like, I just got comfy and just got home and showered and everything. And like, I don't want to hop back on for another one later. So I think it allows me to see people at kind of different times than I would if I were in an office.
I feel that one.
Yeah.
Yeah, I feel that one. I am a morning person, but my
Mhm.
earliest session typically starts around like 10 o'clock, maybe 9. Why?
Well,
Because I have to
see,
get here.
and it's funny. I'll see people at 7, but I run at 8 o'clock. I do Pilates at 9 or 10 o'clock. So it's like, it's funny. Sometimes I have a 7, and then my day starts at normally like 10, 11, 12, depending on the day. So it's like, I do like to keep a big chunk of my morning available, because that's just when I prefer to work out, and I work out like every day. So I don't, like, it's funny, I don't allow too much flexibility during those times. But it's like, obviously that's another thing. If I went into an office, I think I'd probably have to reschedule just like how I like to live my life and when
Yeah.
I like to do my things. And like, I'm already comfortable with that. Like, I don't want to have to do that. So I guess like that's another pro too, is like I can do the things I like to do when I like to do them, which I guess you can argue you can still do at an office. But I think that would depend on if you have like 24-hour access to that office. And if that office building like closes at a certain time, I don't know many people that might want to just take like 4 hours off in the middle of the day if like the office building closes at like 6 or 7 or something, or you like can't see clients past a certain time. I
No, for
also
sure.
didn't love needing to see clients really late at night when it was dark, and the office that my supervisor had was like, it wasn't like down an alley by any means, but the way the building was structured, you just walk in from outside. So it's not like in a larger building, and you need to like go through a gate, and we were all the way at the end of like the building. So it was accessible to just like people walking around outside, and you were like kind of far down. So like if anything were to happen, you weren't like visible to like a main road or like to a lot of people. And then it's like the windows have to be closed, and like obviously no one can see in for privacy reasons, but when you're like a 4'11" female, it's like, do I start bringing a gun? Like, I don't know. And so it's like you don't really think about some of the like safety things. And now I think about, I see couples at 9 o'clock. So it's like, let's say I got done at 10 o'clock and then I need to walk to my car. Like, I don't know if I'd be doing that depending on where I lived, if I like had to go into work.
Yeah, for sure. That makes sense.
Yeah. So there's that whole piece. And then the other one that I had was, and I know we've talked about this, Danny, and I think this was when you were like, ooh, we should have a whole episode on this, because I didn't really think about it that way. Is I knew when I started doing virtual, I was like, I was just trained to be really in tune with like how people sat and how they were breathing and what they were doing with their hands and even like what their clothes looked like. And so I really liked that part of the in-person work. And in my head, I was like, oh no, like that part's going to kind of go away when I do teletherapy. And so I don't know how much I'm going to like that, because I think therapy is about what people are saying, but I think it's also a lot about what they're not saying. And I didn't realize till I was actually doing teletherapy that I was like, oh, like we're in a different room every single time we talk. Or it's like, oh, this person never sits like in a chair. Like they're always sitting like on the floor, or like we're in their bathroom. I'm always like, why is, so it's like, I would just start picking up on all these other things. Or I was like, oh, interesting. Like behind them is like a very, very messy area. And either I just wonder if they're kind of like this, or it just doesn't bother them for me to see it, or like, it was just interesting. And then you contrast that with some people were like so put together that I was like, huh, interesting. Like you like went out of your way to like put a jacket on or like look different, almost like an interview or something, like for this teletherapy meeting. And you're sitting somewhere that like halfway through we're like, yeah, you're like not comfortable, like you can go to your couch, you know? And so it's like you just start to see people in their own environments. And I learned that was super interesting too. And even just like listening to stuff around them, like some people it's crazy loud outside and it's like, oh, like does it always sound like that there? Or like, is it always this loud? And they're like, oh, normally it's like louder. Like this is like, so it's this weird like peek into their environment that you don't get when they're coming into your like highly like designed, you know, however you want to design this space that's like fake. It's an office, you know? Like I think it's cool looking into something for them that isn't fake. It's like very, very real to how they live or who they are. And even if that means they're on the move, so you're always in like a hotel room and you're like, interesting, like you're never home. And it's like, then why are we also only scheduling this for when you're not? Like, is that a comfort thing? Or I don't know. My mind goes a million places. But I've learned I really, really like that part of it.
Ooh,
Sorry,
that's a
that was
great
like
answer.
kind of a rant, but I really like, I find that stuff so interesting.
No, that's a great answer because yeah, I do think about some of the clients that I see virtually, and a lot of times I see them while they're in their cars,
Yeah, in their cars
or
is big.
yeah, or you do get to kind of like peek into this is the environment that a lot of the stuff that you're talking about is coming from. So it is
Yeah.
kind of nice to get a peek into that. So no, that's a great answer. For the more insightful people, that is a beautiful pro.
A big one, Danny, that I just have to throw out there because I think you'll love it. The best is when it's virtual and they are visiting family. So they're like at their family's house or like in their childhood room or something. And you're like, shit, like we've talked about this. We have prepped for this. And we're like, what is coming up for you? We're like, is that teddy bear still where we talk? Oh my, it's still there. And we're just like, you know, it's like, it is cool when you like start to see stuff you've talked about or the environments. It's like they're in the environment we have talked about. And you're like, oh shit. So it's fun. I like it.
Beautiful. Any more pros before we totally shit on this parade?
No, I think that's good. Keep it going.
Okay, yeah. So there are some amazing pros to being a virtual therapist, but there are also some cons. Occasional tech difficulties, bad internet, tech failure. So you guys are on telehealth platforms, and sometimes those just take a dump. I can't tell you how frustrating it is being a punctual person, being someone who really wants to like get things done, to then have a freaking update. Here I am, I've prepped, I'm ready, and then I press join, and it's like system needs to patch in the next iOS 100 thing, and it's just like, are you freaking kidding me? Every like 3 weeks, I have to like clear out my stupid cookies because, between like Google Meets, like
Your computer though, let's just say I know we said less overhead. First thing you'd have to do is buy a much better computer, which might be a pretty big overhead because your current system is archaic. Hence, you need to do the editing of the podcast and I need to upload them because your computer physically can't. Okay? That's why that's the agreement.
I can't even share my screen on Riverside because my
No,
computer's too slow.
no.
Fair point. Fair
So,
point.
like,
Okay.
you specifically are dealing with
All right.
that.
That might be a me thing.
Yes,
All
that
right.
happens. That happens.
You can't tell me that you've never had tech difficulties. What happened?
No, I have. It's just I've never had something be like, clear your cookies. It's like I have a Mac, Danny. I'd hope it fucking figured out. It needs a lot of room for cookies.
What? Really? That is
Yeah,
it?
I've never had a thing that said clear
Oh,
your
okay. I think I
cookies.
just outed myself. Well, shit. It doesn't tell you to clear your cookies, but it's like between using like Google Meets, Zoom, sessions on Psychology Today, and whatever the platform is on Simple Practice, like every now and again, the computer's like, "What camera do you want me to fucking use, man? Like, make up your mind or just start fresh." No?
That's fair. No, I think that's why though I get Macs. I get people are like, they're so expensive. And I'm like, I don't care. I write it off. So like I pay so I don't need to know all the ways to use a computer. I
Olivia,
think this user friendly. What?
I have a Mac.
But it's archaic, so it's different.
Yeah, yeah, all
I'm not
right.
gonna lie though, I didn't think you had a Mac.
No, I have a Mac. It's like a MacBook Air 1. So, yeah, okay. My bad. I probably need to get a new one. But yeah, sometimes,
But there can totally be tech difficulties.
yes, sometimes freaking Spectrum just decides to not do Spectrum stuff and then your internet just goes out. A
I
power
have a
outage.
great example.
Okay.
So psychology, no, it was either Psychology Today or Simple Practice started, they somehow for a hot second there, and it still might happen. They utilized the same thing as Zoom, or it was the same thing where like we learned if you put up a peace sign, balloons come up in the screen. Or the thumbs up. Yeah. Oh, yep. Remember when I showed you the double thumbs up? Fireworks. Do you know how awkward it is when someone's telling you about like someone in their family who died and fucking fireworks go off or balloons when
Yeah.
someone's crying? I am not an awkward person. I'm okay with sitting there in silence and being like, let's ride this out, baby. Like when balloons come up and someone's bawling, I want I want to die. I'm like, this is like so incredibly uncalled for. I have sent emails, and now it's either Simple Practice or one of those. I have sent so many emails, and I'm like, hi, we need to shut this shit down. Like, this is not on a teletherapy platform. Like, this is not okay. And that part's been scarring. I'm not going to lie. So I would count that as technical difficulties because I've never seen something shift a mood so quickly or where you're just like, I'm sorry, please keep going. And you're like, oh my God.
Yeah, that's happened so many times, like during our just like catch ups, where, because you have oftentimes like we have our faces up here, and so it'll just register thumbs and like something will
Yeah.
pop off. Another thing is sometimes like if you forget to do not disturb, and like if your computer is connected to your phone and all, you have like the big old ding.
That hasn't happened to me, but it's happened to clients. And so we'll always have to like figure it out for a second. But like, oh, that's a good one.
Yeah.
Yeah, weird Weird stuff can happen.
Heaven forbid you have headphones on, you will blow your eardrum out when they get a message. That dinging is so loud.
Yeah,
So, yeah.
that can happen.
Tech difficulties. Another thing is this could also affect the types of clients that you see. So I don't really feel comfortable seeing clients with strong suicidal ideation, mood
Ditto.
disorders, or couples that are very, very high conflict. Not that like I don't mind seeing high conflict in general, but when it comes to a virtual space, I think there's a lot more kind of like there's a lot more things I feel like I need to be aware of or I need to be doing that I
Yeah.
just don't think I can do in a virtual space.
That's so true. And I think it's one where I know we've talked about this before too, Danny. Like I knew based on my training and just what I felt would be like longevity for this job, I was not going to see like actively like clients who are actively struggling with schizophrenia. Like just super intense populations like that. I knew were not going to be my jam, especially like working alone, like just virtually. I was like no. However, if I go back or if I start doing any other types of therapy, I think it'd be like psilocybin assisted therapy.
Hmm.
And like that you obviously like have to be in person. Like it's totally different. So I think yeah, you also need to consider, can I do virtual therapy if I given the type of therapy I want to do? Because I don't think that should ever take precedence over the type of work you want to do. Because I mean, as we'll get to, I think there's also cons that come with it, that if you're not like loving the teletherapy thing, I don't think it'll work out for you.
Sure. Yeah, no, I agree. Yeah, that's a great one. Like psilocybin. One thing that I kind of put in that is like EMDR, or if you do a lot of
Yeah.
like experiential work where you want like it's called sculpting, where it's like stand up and put your person or put this toy where you want it to be, where it represents X, Y, and Z. Like you also have to consider, can your approach, can your therapy even like be translated in an online setting? So that's another one.
I'm not even open to seeing families. Granted, I don't like working with families, but I straight up would not do online therapy for a family. Especially maybe if it was like a couple and an older kid, like an adult child or something, but like give me even a teenager. And I'm like, this is insane. Like, we're not all gonna sit on a couch. And at least, like, I don't know, every way I've seen family stuff done, it's a lot of like moving. It's a lot of like, you two wait out in the lobby, we do this, and we all come back together. Then let me actually just talk to this person. Or I love the rogue theories that are like, you start mimicking people in the family system. You start like taking on different people's roles, and you're like throwing families off. They're like, why are we paying this person? They're like sitting, like the therapist is like sitting on the floor being grumpy, and I'm like, this is fun. Like, you can't do that online. Also, I don't know if I'd be bold enough to do that in person. So like, I love it, but that's not the kind of work I'm trying to do, especially on a screen. Like, that sounds insane.
Yeah, for sure. Those are my cons. Do you have any more that you want to add?
I would say not, which I guess this could be a pro or a con depending on who they are, but not having like coworkers or just like other people around you. And I think that's where, if you build a group of people outside of teletherapy that you can talk to, that you can, like consult with about different things. If you're getting out of your house, just doing other hobbies and stuff, like I think you can avoid that. But I think you have to actively work at that, versus if you work somewhere or like a group practice like you, Danny, where it's like there's other therapists there as well. So it's not just like you're going to see people in person, like you're also going into a place where there are other therapists. So you're like getting out in the world and seeing other people. You can talk to them. You can like there's like a community feel to that I know some people love, and I think is really cool. Like that is something that I'm like, no. Like if I feel like I am missing out on that in some ways, but I think I'm able to balance it in other ways where it's worth it for me. But I've heard a lot of people find the teletherapy work to be like really isolating.
Sure. Yeah, especially if you're like living at home alone. So yeah, that's a good con for like a therapy, or at least like a good therapeutic consideration, like professional
Yeah.
consideration is like, how are you not only going to manage just like your social life, but your like professional social life? So yeah, that's something that I don't really have to think about here, because
Hmm.
even if I'm not talking to any of the other therapists, it just feels nice knowing that there is someone that just kind of passes by the hall and it's like, hey, like that does do a little something. So I think that's a good con slash consideration.
Yeah. One more of those, sorry, kind of to go with my pro of I can see people at 7 a.m. and 9 p.m. I think the con is if you wanted, you could see people from 7 a.m. nonstop until 9 p.m. Or it's like you could just have no boundaries being that you're at home. Or it could always feel like, well, like I'm free and this person wants to fit in and I'm not doing anything. So I guess, sure. Like I think that can be more of a con as opposed to when you go into an office. I get people can still have horrible boundaries, but I think sometimes it makes it easier just knowing like, oh, I'm not in the office that day. Or like, I'll already be gone by that time. Whereas like when you live and work at home and you're like me and you have no kids and your spouse also works for themselves crazy weird hours, like I could get wild with it if I wanted to.
And the way that you phrase that one's a good one. Like if you're working from home, I also wonder how much of that like starts to blend. Like where does work stop? Where does the workplace really stop versus the house space? And then it's like, yeah, I am home. I'm not doing anything. Why, like, should I just take that client on? If I'm here in the office and that is one of the considerations. Like, I ain't gonna drive down there for one client. So these are the days that I am gonna be there. Can you make that work? Or
Yeah.
if I am going to show up, I do kind of just have to think about how do I structure the whole day around it to make it worth it. So
Yeah.
yeah, that's a really good one. Switching over to the client from the client's perspective, you might really be interested in trying virtual because you can then have your therapy wherever you go. Maybe you are, like Ollie's example, maybe you are at your family's house. You're visiting some family. Some people go on vacations and that's really nice. Some people, like for my example, they get into their cars and they might go to like parking lots or malls or parks just to kind of give themselves a little bit more privacy. And so sometimes they even do it just on their lunch breaks at work. And so I'm just meeting them when they're at their offices. So that's a big one for me. You can more easily fit it into your lifestyle since you're not needing to drive anywhere. And so that kind of like goes off of the whole lunch break thing. I do have quite a few clients that I see in the smack middle of the day because it's their lunch hour, it's their break. And so it's easier for them to do like one thing, for them to hop on to their computer and then to just go on about their day.
I think another pro, and it's not like this for everyone, but when I've noticed or that people have also like voiced to me over the years, is I do think kind of along with it being just like easier to fit into their lives, I think people can feel more comfortable in their own space. And again, that's all dependent, right? Like if it is hard to find a private room or like that's like the reason why you're coming to therapy is because you're so uncomfortable or something at home, then that doesn't apply. But like I really love seeing people that you can tell are kind of nervous and don't know what to expect, and they're like sitting on their couch in like a fuzzy blanket and they like have a cup of tea and they're like, oh, like yeah, I'm just like trying to get comfy, I don't really like know where to go or what to do. But you can tell they can like open up a little bit more and be like a little bit more comfortable in their own space versus like I guess I also kind of enjoyed seeing how people would sit in your office on like a first session versus like a 10th session.
Sure.
Like you could tell that they get more comfy as they come into your office.
Oh, yeah,
But
100%.
I think there's kind of a good introduction if you know you're like comfortable at home and the therapy was a hard step for you, or knowing that you can like, hey, just like sit with your dog and we can do this, okay? Like I love seeing a furry friend.
Yeah, there is a difference between like session 1 and session 10. Like they come in here, they sit on the couch, and then by session 10, I actually have people who do the stereotypical like lay on the couch and stare up at the ceiling kind of thing. It's a little bit of a fantasy that they want to play out because it's so like cliche or whatever. But yeah, there is a difference in comfort. I like that one. That one's good.
I love it.
On that note, kind of bouncing off what you said, is that, yeah, that having therapy in your own space can also be a con when you can't find that private
Yeah.
space. So I've mentioned this before, is I've had a few virtual clients really struggle to do their therapy just because of their living situations. Maybe they live with parents or maybe they have their own children and their walls are really thin or their houses are really busy. And so I have had a lot of clients say, ooh, like I really want to talk about this, but I can't. And so we just end up using code the entire session because the other person is in the next room. You have kids constantly walking in. And so that's something that I think you need to consider and can often be a con to virtual therapy. Has that happened to you a few times?
Oh, yeah. Hot take, there are some people I have seen in these forums of therapists that are very like adamant, like, oh, like there's kids around or like you're not fully like by yourself essentially. Like we can't do therapy. And I mean like there's certain things like, yeah, don't drive your car. Or there's like don't like if you're like in a grocery store, I'm gonna be like, you're in a public but like I think it's like some people can't escape like their family or their, like their kids. And so I'm perfectly okay with people like coming in the background every now and again or popping in. Like it's not turning into couples therapy, but I see a few like really elderly people that their partners will always come in and say hi. And I really love it. It's like they're in their 70s and like the other partner will come in and be like, "Hey Ollie, heard your voice. See you later." And I'm like, "Hey," and I like know them by name. And like I love that. It's like if our work isn't like centering around how they're making this person's life miserable, and it's like that doesn't make me uncomfortable at all. It's like, yeah, they're in their house. Like it's like sometimes you're gonna hear my dog bark at the freaking Amazon guys that need to knock on the door every time, even though it's like just drop the freaking thing. You don't need to knock. It's like you're gonna hear that I have a dog that barks. Like, sorry, I wish I could stop that too. Like, it's okay. We're all humans. So, no, I totally agree. It happens all the time.
Yeah, another con to therapy from home is that you might struggle to just leave it there. So we'll get to this when we talk about in person. Sticking with the con part is that we are talking about a lot of really heavy stuff potentially, and I do think it's kind of sad, or I wish that they had a different situation if virtual is their only way of doing therapy. They talk about something super heavy and then they just have to go straight into life. And like, let's say that your house is really small or that you have a dedicated place where it's really the only viable place to get the screen time. Maybe that's where your computer is, or maybe that's where you get the best signal. And so that place becomes the not only like the therapy place, but maybe that's also where you do your work. Maybe that's also where you end up hanging out with people. And so there's a potential for it becoming like such an emotionally loaded spot in the house that
Mm-hmm.
sometimes you can't just like leave a session and go on. Sometimes it kind of lingers with you a little bit. The last one for me is, and I think this one kind of ties both of those together, is asking yourself, can you actually be present in the right space to process what's going on? And so, yeah, I have a lot of clients where, kids just kind of run in. I think it's adorable. I don't mind, right? It's like, hey, you know your space. If you're okay with these things, if you understand that, then you are giving me verbal confirmation that it is okay. You're giving me permission to treat, knowing that it's not the most sealed place ever. I don't
Mm-hmm.
mind that. I think that's really nice. But even though a lot of them will kind of push through, I do think that there is a question that needs to be asked of like, I can do this virtually with all of these distractions, but should I? Is this the best for my process, for my treatment? I think
Mm-hmm.
that people should really kind of give that like a good thinking over.
Ooh, okay. And see, I have a consideration that I wanted to add to this, which was similar to like, yes, like, is this the right space for me to process? But I also think some people could benefit more from in person and not so much like logistic wise. Like, I think there are some people that like truly they have no other option. It might not be their best place to process, but they're like, girl, I'm a single mom. Where you want me to process? Like, I can't afford the childcare. I would need to go see you for an hour. I get that. I think I wonder I come at it more from a like there are people that I think just want to, as an example, like do as much as they can in a day. So it's like cool, cool, cool. Like, and then, maybe they want to go to therapy. Maybe someone else in their family wants them to go to therapy. And it's like, oh yeah, great. Like I'll do it on my lunch break because I can. Like I'll fit it in. And you can tell they're like trying to do other things or they like
Yeah.
keep checking their phone or it's like, you're just doing this now to say you're doing it now. Like, it might actually be better for that person to have to carve it into their day and to have to go somewhere and fully be present and sit there and be like, okay, like I'm like actively making time for this and I need to like force it into my schedule and like make sure that I put other things aside or slow down for that, maybe hour and a half including or 2 hours including commuting or whatever. And so I think sometimes people need to be willing to acknowledge if like that might actually be like healthier for them, or like, yeah, just because you can do it online and you can fit it into the 1 hour free you have that day, it's like, how much are you really getting out of that?
Hmm.
Versus if you did even therapy like half as often, but you were like really making sure it was something that you like go and you're sitting in a waiting room and you're like just even like looking around and being present, and then like, okay, now I go in and it's more of a connective experience. Like, I think sometimes people use the teletherapy and the ease of it to be like, cool, cool, cool. Like, see, I'm in therapy, I'm doing it.
Yeah.
And it's like, are you? What are we really doing here? But also that's not the case always. And I love that teletherapy exists. I'm a teletherapist. But I just think it's like something to consider.
Yeah, that's a great consideration. Yes, I've been on the receiving end of that many times where it's like, whenever you're done answering that email, I guess you can get back to me. That's fine. You know, like, oh, so and so just texted me. Let me kind of get them back really quick, and it's like, all right, cool.
Which I do get, like, sometimes even in person, like, people are like, "Oh my gosh, Ollie, I'm so sorry." Like, or if I get a text, it's from like my husband or my kids, and
Yeah,
like
yeah,
I just have to check it and make sure everything's okay, and it's like, that's fine. I just mean it's you can tell when there's a different vibe of like, okay, this is like our third session, and like anything I say, the person's like, "Yeah, I'm sorry, one more time."
yeah,
You're just like, okay, what are we doing?
yeah. That's a great one. Awesome. Are we moving over to in person?
Move over to in person.
Okay, so in person, there are so many amazing things and reasons why you would want to be an in-person therapist. For one, and like I said at the top of the session, is that you get to have a space and that really helps you set the stage, gives you the tone, the energy. Like, I love my office. I love the color I painted it. I love the lighting. Everyone loves my couch, right? And so everyone really does. They're always commenting on how comfortable my couch is. But it's like, this is the workshop. Now, I'm not saying that you can't do that in a virtual space, especially if you're able to have like an office like you're able to have a
Hmm.
designated space in your house to really kind of
Hmm.
outfit the way you want. But like, this place is for therapy.
Yeah.
And so I think like getting yourself in the headspace of like, I'm coming to work, here we go. Like, it's a whole experience. And I think that's one of the greatest things. Another thing is that, yeah, it's definitely like a much quieter space. And
Hmm.
so we have sound machines here that kind of help block out the noise. We have good walls. It's really separate from all the busy work at home. And
Hmm.
this is a place where clients can more easily leave it here.
Hmm.
That it's not just like once I cross this threshold, but I also have to leave this whole building. I have to get into my car. Sometimes I have to change the area code. Like, there, it's so much easier to kind of process all the things and then just leave it here, because this is all that this place is for. You don't have to like process your trauma where you watch movies with your loved ones. You know, you don't do
Hmm.
it in the kitchen. Here it is. Now let your home be your home. And so those are one of the biggest pros about being a in-person therapist, is that you really gonna get to curate the space and make it your workshop. You did have time as an in-person therapist. And so what did you love about it? Do you have any pros to add to this one?
I Because I was in my supervisor space, it was like her office and how she kind of like decorated it and had it laid out. And it was a big office space. Like, it was two rooms, because one was a play therapy room, so just like total play everything. And then like almost just looks like a 3-year-old's dream playroom kind of deal. And the other one was like big. Like, it was set up like almost a living room. Like, I mean, multiple couches could fit, and you had room for like bookshelves and a desk and a like, it was more just such a big space that I don't think it gave me like the right like therapy homey vibe. So I loved going into a space, like everything you said, Danny, is like, that's why I have my little dream of like, one day, maybe if I don't need income, I will have a little Victorian that I'm just like, like, do you need a coffee? Like, enjoy, make yourself a coffee in my coffee maker in the lobby. Like, like, oh, come on in. And I just have like I love your green walls. It's like my favorite color, green. I dig it. So I think I'm a fan of all the same pros. I think it's also just like, again, maybe I know I already said it, but just having other people around, like you automatically know you're going to get out of your house every day. You automatically know you're going to maybe see other people, or you're already an object in motion stays in motion. Like you're already out and about. You're more likely to like, oh, on the way home, I'll go to the grocery store. Or maybe
Yeah,
I'll
yeah.
I'll go for a workout and then I'll go in. It's like, I think it's easier to kind of get the ball rolling each day and keep it rolling each day if you're the kind of person that notices like, oh shoot, like if I'm at home and I technically don't have to ever leave or do anything. Or so I think in that sense that's a big pro. Is it just like really adds structure and like some movement to your day.
No, for sure. I love that one. I am a homebody. So like if I don't have to, I will put off so many things. No is my favorite word. Canceling is a pastime for me. And so like having an office to go to, you're 100% right. I can be like, ooh, on my way to work, I can go get gas, and then during this break, I'm going to go do this, right? It does kind of, I don't want to say it makes it fun for me, but it does add something that is positive. It does make it enjoyable to do all
Yeah.
these other things.
And I think caveat to that, and maybe this is also, I'm big on considerations today, a consideration of where your office is. Like if you live in a dangerous area or the community you serve is maybe just not the safest for whatever reason, like maybe you won't love going into work or staying late at work, or if it's really far. Like honestly, mine was reverse commute most of the time, and it was nice that it was nice because you like drive out of the bay and into like rolling hills and there's cows. And so it was an hour, but it was kind of like you were at least driving quickly. You're not like stuck in traffic most of the time. And then it was like pretty and calming. So I was like, okay, like I didn't mind the commute, but like I would not want to drive that every day. Like if I had to get all 3,000 hours that way, I don't even know if I'd be licensed by now. I think I'd be just fucking falling apart. And so I think that's something to consider, as well as where your office is, the kind of office. Like, is it in a building? Do you feel like, is there easy access from the outside, or are you like in a secure building up a handful of floors, like close to other people's offices? Do you have a panic button? Like, I think the setting could either be such a pro, or it could be like a very big con.
Yeah, 100%. Like outside of the just added overhead cost of having an office, location is really the biggest consideration and can produce some of the biggest cons.
Yes.
So going kind of hitting back on that is, yeah, we're a virtual therapist. We can see clients from wherever part of the states that we are licensed in. I am very much limited to what people are willing to kind of drive to here. And so what that means is that if you are considering getting an office somewhere, you do have to look into, is it easily accessible by travel, by car, right? And does the population that you are going to be potentially serving, right? So if I'm over here in Southern California, and if I say Orange County, then are the people in Orange County actually looking for therapy, right? Because if you go to a place that is heavily populated, but they don't really have like a strong therapy culture, then you're still kind of setting yourself up for failure. And so, yeah, where you kind of set the location of your office is there's so many things that you have to consider.
Danny, I have another consideration that reminded me of.
Go ahead.
Okay, so speaking of, could it be convenient to have your office down the street or like in your adorable little downtown that you're like, perfect, I'm already there all the time. I love like my little downtown. I have an office there. Absolutely. But then who are you probably likely to see?
Yeah.
People who live there. Are you dating and single? And you're like, okay, now my dating pool is also technically my client pool.
Yeah.
Now, when I go to the grocery store and someone's like, hey, therapist, and you're like, hi, like I'm getting 4 tubs of ice cream and I feel like shit. You're like, hello, these are just, oh my, these. Or maybe you see a couple that you're like, it's a couple I work with. Wait, no, it's not. It's actually just, and I'll switch up the way I would normally, like, it's actually just the wife and that is not her husband and she looks really cozy with him. You're like, my God. I've heard horror stories. That's never happened to me, thankfully. But yeah, and truly, Danny, the one time I ever ran into anyone in all my years of doing this was a couple that, funny enough, I worked with them an hour away. Like they were from that town, but they happen to be, that town does not have a big downtown. So I guess sometimes when people go out, they will come over by where I live to like go out. And I was out with friends, and I mean, I was like in a corset top and like skinny jeans, but like I wouldn't judge how I was dressed at all. But is it something I would wear to work? No, it's something I would wear to a bar at 10:30 past at night. And so I saw this couple across the bar, and I was like, why do they look so familiar? And I like realized who they were. And then I was like, I'm in a corset top. And I was like, grab the drinks and run away. And I ran away. And to this day, I'm like, thank God. I mean, they wouldn't have cared. I bet, knowing them, they would have come over and been like, therapist, like, you're fucking fabulous. Like, I would have loved them. But like, in that moment was like, I don't want to do these run-ins on a regular basis. I don't want people to be like, hi, therapist, I had no clue what size your boobs are. And now I kind of might. Like, that freaks me out. And it's like, you're allowed to be a normal person and like go out and do what you want to do. But like, I don't really want to run into my clients on a day-to-day basis. Like, that would just make me constantly feel like, oh God, like, who knows what moods they've seen me in, you know? And it's like, I'm just a normal person. Like, and it just makes my life easier and everything more simple to be like, great, you all live in Southern California for the most part, or places I don't immediately live. And like, if I ran into someone, it'd probably be once a blue moon. And it might even feel kind of like fun because it hardly ever happens. But if you decide to work where you live, just be aware that you might be cussing out your kids somewhere and your client is like, hey, I'm going to leave you. I'm going to let you do that. I'll see you on Tuesday. And you're just like, God damn it. You know, it's like, we're all people. So yeah, I think that's a consideration.
Yeah,
Maybe do it like a town or two over.
yeah, that's a big consideration. I practice in an area, and I do not live here. And so, yeah,
Did you do that on purpose?
I did make that choice on purpose. There were some openings around my hometown, and I was like, absolutely not. Not that I don't love my community, but it was for exactly that. When I go home, I just want to go home. Not that I'm a different person like outside of the therapy room, but it is just very much like it's also a confidentiality consideration where I am an expert ignorer, and that's mostly because I'm like I spend 95% of my life in my head, and so if I walk past you, it's nothing personal. I'm just thinking,
Well, also we should mention like we can't say anything first. So like I don't want anyone out there thinking like, oh no, if I run into my therapist, they're just gonna pop their head in my car and be like,
right?
peekaboo,
Yeah,
funny seeing you here. Like no, we would never say anything first. But yeah, just for people to know that we wouldn't do that. But I think a lot of the times clients either don't know that or they're just totally fine
yeah,
with like being like, hey, whoa, and whoever they're with, they're like, this is my therapist. And you're like,
yeah.
oh God, yes, I am.
Yeah, and even if like they do know that, and even if you are prepared for that, there is still that kind of second delay where it's just like, wait, do I know this person? Oh, I do know this person. All right, stick to the script, man. We've planned for this.
Yeah, exactly.
And so when I made the conscious decision not to work where I live, but even though like I still see people in Southern California, I am from Southern California. I still have run into quite a few people who I work with. Again, I'm very kind of comfortable with that, comfortable with professionally ignoring people. And so it's never been that big of an issue for me, but that is a huge consideration is yeah, it sounds great having an office, and most people will want to have an office next to their house because they're thinking about the travel time. But that does bring up, hey, you are going to be having your clients as neighbors potentially. Do you
Yes.
want that?
Could you imagine? You're like ready to sue your neighbor for like these bitches, this is fence, this is not the line, and then you're like,
Yeah, and then they come up to you and they're
whoa.
like, "Should we breathe together? Maybe you should just do some of the exercises that you taught me. Suck it up." It's like, yeah, fuck that. I'm not. No, I'm not gonna deal with you
Yeah.
guys.
Yeah, that's so funny. Yeah, it's just all the horror stories or things I hear that I'm like, oh shit, like how would you handle that? Even though they're like these one-off things that like hardly ever happen. I'm just a big fan of like, let's make that as minimal of a consideration as possible. And it's like if people don't live anywhere near me, that's just gonna make my work life much simpler.
Yeah. Yeah, and also like going back to one of the other things that you said is, the whole like, is it on the what floor is it on? Yeah, that's a big thing. I did part of my training at a community center that was on top of a police station. And there was also like next to a water park for some reason. Really weird location. Like all shared the same parking lot. So it's really weird. But anyways, yeah, stuff like that, is you might be an amazing therapist, but if like do they even want to be walking into your place? Is it easily accessible, or do they have to get parking passes every single time? Can they find you, or are they, a little bit less able, and so climbing stairs or taking elevators is difficult for them. And so
Yeah.
you really do have to think about that when me and the other therapists that work in this building, when we were thinking about, okay, where are we going to like set our roots, where is going to be the next kind of phase of our lives, is we had to say, hey, we need to be within X amount of miles from a freeway,
Yeah.
because the last thing we want is for people to drive and then still have to go through all these like twists and turns, right? And so we did have to think a lot about how easy is it for people to get to us. And so
Yeah.
yeah, you got those ones. Switching
Good
over to
point.
the clients.
Mm-hmm.
Pros for being a client in person is that you have a space that's completely tailored to your processing. You have all the privacy. And so, yeah, I think a lot of these are like rolling over from the pros of being a therapist,
Yeah.
but I think it's worth mentioning is that it is a whole different experience when you come in here. And so, yeah, that's what I got. Do you have any pros for the clients? Why would they want to go in person?
Some people just like going to a different space. I think if I had the time, or like if I found someone I really liked near me and their office was near me, like if I had a choice, I think I would choose to go in person. I think I'm one of the people that it would force me to slow down. It would also, because I work at home, it forces me to get out of the house. I'm on a screen all day long. So, like, I think for me, it's a healthy change up for my day. And I love, like, if someone has a really calming space or a space that I consider very ooh, like, yay, like this is where I want to come and like talk to someone. And then, yeah, it feels like I do that there. And then I can come home and have dinner and be with my family. And like, I don't have to worry about like where I'm at, or if like my husband comes home from work or something, like while I'm on the call. Like, you just don't need to worry about any of the logistics that might happen at home, or if you're like doing virtual, any of the technology issues we talked about. Like, I think it's nice to, when I have certain appointments, like I just like going to them, but that is also because I am at home and on my screen all day long.
What about the cons? Like this full transparency, this part of the list is blank for me. That might be a little bit of a bias. I think that there is absolutely no cons to
The no
being.
cons of going in.
Yeah, but I mean, after we've talked about it, no, there definitely are. Like the biggest
Oh,
one
I
is,
have cons.
yeah,
Bitch, I don't want to stop my day. And depending on where you live, like where you are and where I am, traffic is a bitch.
that's
And
true.
it's like, what if you like actually, and it's not one of those things that like, you can't really be that late. And so what if you get stuck in traffic or an accident happens or something and you're like, oh, like I'm going to run 30 minutes late, and your therapist is like, like I see someone at like we're not going to have time. Then you're going to have 20 minutes.
Yeah.
And so like I think it could cause more stress for people, especially if you kind of have to commute, or if you just don't really have the time in your day to do that and you're trying to like rush around to it, and it's not like, damn, I thought I was going to be able to go to the grocery store today, but like I just can't today, I'll go tomorrow. It's like, no, you probably need to pay the cancellation fee, which is probably the session fee, which is not cheap. So I don't know. I see many cons, or maybe it's not, like, no offense, but where my supervisor's office was, I thank her for everything. I'm very, very grateful. But it's not how I'd want an office to look. Honestly, I thought it was too big. Like, it didn't feel like a cozy, like, which these things can't always be perfect. But But yeah, maybe it's also just like not, you're like, I don't think the couch is as comfy as Danny's. Or like it's just like the lighting is like kind of too I hate that like iridescent kind of lighting that's in a lot of office buildings.
Oh yeah.
Is that what that's called?
Yeah, you want to
Iridescent
see it?
lighting?
You want to see what this place would look like if we had the hospital lights on? For
Yeah, do
context,
it.
I never put my lights on.
I know you always have that lamp, so that
Yeah.
makes sense.
So let's see. Hold on.
Lights on? Or no, right now lights are off. Yeah, it's like a weird, it's so white.
Yeah, it is very.
Oh, no. Yeah, those. Like, no. I wouldn't like it. Those actually, they give me headaches.
Yeah. 100%.
So I wouldn't like that. There are times also where I meet with people who like all of a sudden their stomach like really starts hurting. Or if there have been a few times that like there's been like a, oh my God, Ollie, I'm like so sorry, but like something's happening and they like need to leave.
I'm about to shit myself.
Well, that, but I'm just saying there's also like life things that are like, shoot, like we got to go now kind of a thing, which is easier to do when you're at home versus at an office somewhere. I think there's tons of cons.
Yeah. After we go into the episode, it's like, no, there are definitely some cons that you have to consider. Drive time, yes, a big one of what you said about things kind of running late or, life
Yeah.
kind of happening. That is a common thing that shows up for me. That has kind of like contributed to my flexibility in my scheduling, but it is something that comes up.
One more con to teletherapy so that you
Okay.
know I'm not biased.
Sure, go ahead.
I only have emotional support tissues. But you have no clue how many times clients, I'm like, where are your fucking tissues? We've talked about this. And they're like, I keep forgetting to get them. And I'm like, get the fucking tissues. And so it's like, all I have is my box of emotional support tissues, but I can't give them to people. It makes me very sad. It's something that I'm like, I wish if technology could figure out if I could pull out a tissue and be like, poof, and it like ends up with you. And I'm like, here's a tissue. It's like, I wish I could, and I can't. That's a con. Something to consider. Unless maybe if I were a rich therapist, I would send all my clients a little baby box of tissues and be like, welcome on board.
That's part of the onboard packet.
Yeah, that would be fun.
That's cool. All right. Anything else? Yeah.
No, nothing else. Virtual, in person, it's for you to decide. There's pros and cons to each. Danny's chosen to go a more in-person route, even though he is hybrid. I have chosen to go a more virtual route. As always, if you have questions, feel free to email us, hit us up. We are always open for feedback or for questions, any way that we can help people out. But yeah, I think this was a good one.
Yeah. All right. See you next week.
Bye. Bye, Danny.